alive today with all the Star Trek for Discovery and Deep Lower Decks and everything else, what do you think his reaction would be for how it's changed?
Years ago, I was asked that question. I think it was when one of the commanders in the Next Generation kissed one of the ladies who was in uniform. And Roddenberry, who had been in the military, was so, this is the way the military works. And kissing a fellow officer was not exactly how the military works. When I saw that, I thought and said, Gene Roddenberry, if we harness the amount of times he's turning in his grave, we wouldn't have an energy problem. He would be so. And then with all the different variations of things, I don't watch it. Do you watch the variations of Star Trek?
Yes, I do, sir.
You do? Why?
Her series made me fall in love with Star Trek. I still have the store-bought VCR tapes of the original series.
Throw them out and buy something good. No, really, what is the fascination of today's Star Trek? Right into the mic. You're not saying anything. Wow. What are you fascinated by in the new Star Trek?
For me, for
Star Treks. I think, how many are there? 8 or 9 or something?
Something like that.
Yeah.
For me, it's the positivity of the future, the hope for the future.
Oh, they still maintain that? Because I don't watch it. Well, I'm sorry to admit it, but I don't. And the question is, I don't know why. I really don't spend that much time in front of the television set, except watching news and stuff like that. So it's nothing against Star Trek, although there's something in my psyche that doesn't want me to watch the rest of Star Trek. Maybe they're doing too well. What is your reasoning for watching?
I personally enjoy all Star Treks, and last night I was actually watching the original series before I came here today.
No kidding. Did you watch one segment or more?
I've watched The Balance of Terror and Assignment Earth.
Which one was the Balance of Terror?
Balance of Terror with the Romulans.
The Romulans. They were all the way through, weren't they? I asked you because it's been many years. Right into the mic.
I can't even think of his name. He later on portrayed
I'm glad you're
Spock's
joining.
captain.
Spock's captain? Spock's father. That's good enough. That certainly identifies him.
Mark Leonard.
Mark Leonard, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark Leonard.
Well, that's the actor.
That was the actor for that.
So, what about him?
He was in that.
Episode. Mark was in that.
So.
He
played the Romulan in that episode.
Wait, well, how did he play a Romulan when he was Spock's father? Come on, man, that's not good.
They recast him as the same actor.
Does it bother you? Because it bothers me to hear about it. I mean, I remember it now, but why are they casting Spock's father? Because he had a good nose. He had like an aquiline nose. He had a nice straight nose. He looked kingly. So that was what a Romulan, I suppose, was supposed to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
You, my dear.
Hello, sir.
Right into that.
I heard a rumor that you just recorded.
Wait a minute.
That won't go on.
No, just put it up to your mouth.
There you go. Yeah.
Solve one problem.
Solve one problem at a time. I heard a rumor that you just recorded an album with a country artist. And I wanted to know
Brad Paisley.
Yes, and
2 weeks ago.
so we know everything about you. That's just how it is, right?
No,
it's kind of scary. No, I don't. But I wondered if you could offer a shameless plug on what the album is about.
I would love to talk about it. Because a couple of weeks ago, I had one of the great moments of my life. I spent 2 days in the studio. Brad Paisley had, passing years, become a good friend of mine. And so we would meet. He lives in Nashville. He also lives in Santa Barbara, and I live in Los Angeles. So between his traveling and my traveling, we would meet up, and our families would meet up. So we're really good buddies. And another gentleman by the name of Robert Sherner had become a friend of mine, and we had begun to write albums. The last couple of albums that I've done, I wrote with him. He was, in essence, a lyricist, and I was doing something as creative as I could with the songs, with the lyrics. So, between Rob Chernow and I, we wrote 15 songs along a theme that I had suggested, which is love. But not love, carnal love, not passionate love, but love of your body. How can you love somebody if you're not healthy? Love of music, love of art, love of the mystery, love, all those loves. We wrote songs about. The last one was, we called The Great Mystery. And I'm going to give you a more extensive answer because it's great fun to talk about it. So, about 5-6 months ago, I was in the Antarctic. And along with me and 200 passengers was Neil deGrasse Tyson, whose podcast I'd been on more than once. And we'd become kind of nodding friends. We're both on the ship and we're both hired to talk and entertain. And so it evolved that out of the 7 or 8 nights that we were on board ship, 2 or 3 of those nights I spent on stage with one of the great gentlemen that is alive today, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is an astrophysicist, but is interested in everything. So, between he and I, we covered a lot of subjects. When it came to space, the final frontier, he was the expert, and I would vie questions with him. My ability to talk to him about that was one of essentially heckling. Because, Neil, you don't know anything because of dark matter and dark energy covering 95% of the universe, and we don't even know what it is. How can you be taking measurements, Neil? And I said, well, the speed of light. How can you tell that the speed of light won't change, Neil? And he had a tough time. We got laughs. It was very fun. So when I got home from the voyage, about 10 days to the Antarctic, I thought, what is the impulse in mankind to explore? Why did we climb down the tree? We were happy in the tree. Nobody could eat us. We had little fights. We could get the fruit. We were swinging from branch to branch. We were happy. What fool said, let's go down on the ground and see what's there? You know, and then they killed us, the animals. And then we graduated from down, we got to Africa, and we're happily ensconced in Africa, and somebody says, let's go north, and the other guy says, let's go south, and you leave the warm, beautiful, fertile African water, and you go in these different places. Why? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? It's because I'm going to give you a little bit of the show we're going to do. The reason they left the fertile valleys of the African jungles was because tectonic plates, the dynamics of the planet were at work. The crust of the earth was changing. That changed the currents of air. That changed the currents of water. That changed the currents of the salinity and the currents of the ocean. They had to get out. So they started walking. And they walked south, and they walked north. And slowly over the eons, mankind adjusted to the changing of the earth. They adjusted just like the earth around it. The trees changed, the ground changed. Mankind's deep, deep black color to avoid vitamin D poisoning and cancer of the skin, that deep black skin. I mean, it was the same human being, but the hominids were changed to adjust to changing nature. So the flat nose, the dark skin changed to a long aquiline nose, so it would warm the air that was getting cold, it would warm it up before it hit the brain, and the dark skin changed to white, so that it needed to adjust to the changing rays of the sun. So what we're talking about is black and white is adjustment to nature, as nature all around, as this dynamic earth was being dynamic, and all the animals were changing. They were faster, slower, climbing trees, not climbing trees. Humankind changed color and changed physiology as a result of the changing earth. And I thought, well, where the hell is racism going? We're the same thing. We're just animals that changed, adjusted to the adjusting nature. It was like a key person wonderful, actually. So I began to write a speech about what is this impulse for change? And then I thought, I wonder if Neil deGrasse Tyson would be interested in discourse on it. And we got the Daniel Fox, who produced the Voyage to Antarctica, and the three of us are going to, so he's going to produce, Neil and I are going to be in Washington, Washington, what's the big city in Washington? So, thank you. Go with me, I've got so much to talk about. So we're going to be in Seattle in June 16, 17, somewhere around there, on stage, ad-libbing 3 venues: geographical, spiritual, and medical. The discovery, the marching pace of discovery in those 3 places. One more note. So in my trying to discover why those 3 explorers, Shackleton, Scott, and Amundsen, who were explorers who went to the South Pole and failed, except for Amundsen, and there was a reason for his success, which was he pre-planned perfectly. Those voyagers became like, I began to study them. Then I discovered Magellan, who is like unbelievable. Magellan was a military guy. He was strong and ordered and complex. And he finally wins his way through the Magellan Straits, gets into the Pacific, and becomes a religious fanatic, and tries to change the religion of the people on the islands, and they kill him. And his mission, which was 250 people with 5 ships, ends up with 15 or 18 people that make it to England in one tattered ship. Exploration. So I began to explore the spiritual. There's a guy, and I'd love to hear your reaction. Aleister Crowley. Does everybody know that name? A few people. So Aleister Crowley was a mystic who wrote about mysticism and about religion and about the will, that your will, what you think, the forces, they didn't say God, but the forces want you to be, what your law for your governing your behavior is what you think you should be, you should do. That's your law, and that you should follow no other law, which sounds which sounds horrible, but if you analyze it, There it is. I'm going to pull out from nowhere a bottle of water. I'm going to put this microphone down. And I'm going to open this water. One of the tests of old age is if you can open the water. Okay.
Well, thank you, sir, for
Hello.
your...
Don't you move! Aleister Crowley turns out to be a mystic climbing the Himalayan mountains and founding a kind of religion, okay? Then along comes Frank Parker. Frank Parker reads Aleister Crowley, becomes involved in the mysticism, but Frank Parker is a genius in rocketry, and without any degree in rocketry, he founds JPL, Jet Propulsion. And he's a rocketeer. He fires the first American rockets off. Then he combines with L. Ron Hubbard, who writes Scientology.
Late great Planet Earth, right?
So from this mysticism and the rocketry and the finding of Scientology, which is based on how to win friends and influence people, you've got a whole journey. Just that little journey, let alone Moses and Zoroaster and all. You have a journey of such mystical discovery. And was it accident that Jack Parker meets Aleister Crowley, who meets L. Ron Hubbard, who runs off with his wife and steals his money? It's such a fascinating journey, the spiritual journey, the geographical journey, and the medical journey of some primitive man taking a blossom and eating it and surviving what killed other people, and the discovery of natural medicine, and then all the great scientists who made their voyage of discovery to, thank you, I appreciate that. That's L. Ron Hubbard trying to. But the voyage of discovery in medicine is equally fascinating. And that's what, what Neil deGrasse Tyson and I've exhausted my brain, by the way, that Neil deGrasse Tyson and I will talk about on stage in Seattle in the middle of June. Okay?
Thank you. I'm gonna, thank you.
So, right into the microphone.
Hello, my name's Austin.
Oh, you got yours money's worth on that question. Yeah.
As a man who continues to live faster than fear